This book, How to Build LGBTQ plus Inclusive Workplaces, The Psychological Approach. That's a heck of a mouthful. But put simply, LGBTQ plus is so in the news, it's there everywhere. And this is an attempt, I assume, to help businesses navigate the tricky waterways of LGBTQ plus.
Well, I hope it will help organisations navigate this topic. I mean, the starting point really was that, because I've co-written this with Ashley Williams, or Dr. Ashley Williams, who's a colleague. She's on maternity leave at the moment. And her PhD was in stereotypes at work of LGBTQ+. And so she had all that knowledge. We did some webinars together at the start of lockdown and during Pride Month and LGBTQ+. And we just kind of thought, actually, it would be interesting, wouldn't it be good if we wrote a book about this? And Ashley done a PhD, so she had already had an enormous amount of knowledge. I just had to research a lot more. And what's helping organisations navigate this, I had to learn a lot myself and kind of understand what my own attitudes were, what my own levels of knowledge was.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty, what I love about the book is the historical context that you paint about the history of sexuality and the human condition. And I mean, it is remarkably, open, actually, throughout history. I mean, if you start with Aristophanes, the playwright and comedian from ancient Greece, you look at Zeus, another Greek god, and the shepherd Ganymede, who he took in as a male lover, rather upset his wife. And, you know, you could go on to Sappho, born on Lesbos, which is presumably where lesbianism comes from, 600 years ago. That's 600 years before Christ, BCE. And even in the Middle Ages, you know, you had Richard the Lionheart apparently sleeping with the King of France. But the amazing thing, looking at this historical context, is that it was just seen as normal. It's just humans doing what humans do. Nobody judged it. Nobody validated it or invalidated it. It just was what went on. Yeah.
And it's difficult, and like you're doing, actually trying to find the right word where it's open. Well, actually, it was just accepted. Well, it was just there, and nobody did anything. It was just it wasn't that people were being open. It was just kind of, it was just people accepted that human sexuality was varied, and it was not really worthy of comment. I mean, people did make comment. I mean, like Julius Caesar, for example, in today's language, would be considered to be bisexual, and there was an expression that was used about him that he's a husband to all wives and a wife to all husbands. And what he's being criticised for was his promiscuity, not the fact that he was attracted to men as well as women. And that kind of attitude kind of prevailed. But also, you see the language that people use, people kind of religious prescriptions. It wasn't. I mean, you know, you shouldn't lie with somebody of the same sex. But on the other hand, there were also very anti-masturbation. You had to have sex at a particular time, in a particular way, and in certain places. I mean, everything was kind of dictated. It wasn't just...
Was that not just for practical reasons, that you didn't live very long, you need to have as many children as you could, because half of them would die, so it was just a practical thing.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of these things came from. And so there were all these prescriptions kind of existed, but actually people were allowed to express themselves in whatever way that seemed appropriate.
Yeah, but what I find fascinating is in the, I don't know, ancient Greek or Roman or Egyptian navy of the time, it would appear that the bosses wouldn't care if somebody was sleeping with another bloke or whether they weren't. They just got on with it.
Yeah, and in fact, it would seem that they felt that where men were having a relationship together in a naval or an army unit, actually it was seen as being a good thing, because they would be much more loyal for one another. It's a complete contrast to what's being said in the military today.